Public safety. So there's going to be some overlap perhaps, but what
Yeah.
is your game plan currently to be able to deal with the rising crisis or drug crisis and sex trafficking in the city? And a few people had mentioned the area more or less like St. George down to Maine and that way that they are constantly being accosted by people.
Hmm.
People being, belligerent. Obviously, the shooting up in public. I actually witnessed on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, people having sex on the steps, just 10 feet away from the sidewalk. Not exactly a good image for the city. So, what are your ideas? I know it's big. I know it's hard, but what do you see that can be done?
So I got a couple on this one. So zero tolerance. I'll lead with that. So you had mentioned people about doing drugs, out in the public. I do believe a couple of years ago I coined the phrase open air drug use, and that's what everybody is using now. That is an illegal event. It's an illegal activity. If it's being done in public space, zero tolerance. We need to address that right away. Also, if it's a criminal activity, which that would be, we obviously need to have enforcement and we need to have the willingness of the provincial government to process these people for what they're doing that's against the law. We're not talking about taking everybody off the street. We're talking about addressing what we see as illegal activity. If you can't address the illegal activity, then why are we even bothering? You just might as well turn the page and move on. We also have to expand on the Enviro team. I think you remember this, Eric. A couple of years ago, I moved a motion at council for the Enviro team, which cleans up pretty much all the BIA. And the amount of work that these people are doing, my hat's off to them because you know what? They are picking up garbage. They are picking up needles. They are removing graffiti. They are going above and beyond to make our city look clean. And then we have open air drug use going on, and they go back the next day and they start all over again,
Hmm.
and they pick up the same amount. So that's what we need. We need an adequate police force that is going to enforce the rules and the laws.
Okay, well, that sounds good, but we're always at the mercy of the weakest link. And as many people have said, if someone is brought before a judge and told to come back, they just don't come back. They could have 20 or 30 such
Mhm.
requests, and there's nowhere to put them. So then what do you do?
Well, one, there's nowhere to put them, but two, the court system is also backed up well over 24 years
Mm,
or 24 months. Sorry,
okay. I was
not
going to say,
years,
oh,
months.
geez.
That's a while. 24
As
months
a get
to
while the getting's
process,
good. Yeah.
yeah, to process, and that person's back on the street. The superintendent brings this same conversation you and I are having up quite often, and he looks right at me and he says, "Counselor, there's only one counselor in here that always asks me this question: How often is often?" And there's one gentleman that's gone through the door over 50 times. We have a youth in Moncton that has gone through this system of the revolving door over 100 times in a year. There is no deterrent. There is nothing else other than bringing them in and waiting for them to be processed. So they go back on the street and they're back at it again.
Okay. So to your point of having people out there, doing things, increasing perhaps the police presence or what have you, how will that have any real effect?
Until they can enforce it and address the issue, it's not going to have an effect. We need to address what's going on that we see going on throughout the city, throughout the residents' neighborhoods.
Hmm.
We need to address that. If it's illegal, you need to address it.
Okay. All right, then let's have a look. It's kind of a good segue. Um, Someone had put this in.
But
I didn't.
before we do go any farther,
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
just add to that?
sure.
I think what we need to see is a clean sweep. And what I mean by that is we need to have our RCMP start at our city limits in the BIA, go all the way through the BIA,
Sorry,
and
just so people know,
yeah,
BIA is
the business improvement area. So
okay.
that would be, let's take Chateau Moncton on Main Street,
Hmm.
go all the way to Von Harvey Boulevard, and then up to St. George.
Okay.
So that would be the BIA. So I think what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have a police force that can go out and actually, on day 2 of council, have the superintendent in council chambers and say, here's our direction. You need to do a sweep. You need to find out how many people are on our streets that are on existing warrants. You need to find out and tell us how many illegal drugs you seize and how many weapons you're seizing. We need to do that right away because these are all factors that are, I guess, helping or aiding what we're seeing going on in the community right now.
But council doesn't have the authority to direct the RCMP to do things, though, do they?
We can't even tell them how to do their operational plan. But you know what? When the city of Moncton pays $45 million of the bill, of $65 million of the bill, it's time for change and it's time to look at another way to do policing.
So when it comes to like policing, like as you said, to do things differently, now there's been a lot of different suggestions. What do you think would work best or could
I
work?
think okay, so here's what we have to do. We can no longer continue to do what we've always done because we're obviously not seeing uh, any dramatic improvement. So we need to look at policing in the past, what it is today, what it's going to look like in the future. But we also need to do that from a 30,000 feet level and maybe look at, if that means look at municipal policing, I'm open to that. Let's have that conversation. But let's have that conversation based on data because at the end of the day, as a mayor and council sitting around that table, the minute we start to have this conversation on municipal policing and what that can look like for the residents of Moncton, as in the past, it's been talked about, it was too expensive to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? There was a report that came out, it was way too expensive. But what the public wasn't informed with is guess what, Mr. Taxpayer, you and I both own that police station. Eric, you own it. I own it. I pay my property tax. We own that police station. We own all the police cars. We own all the uniforms. We own all the equipment because every year Moncton City Council in the November budget approves all this stuff through the RCMP. So all that stuff we already own. There is no additional need if it's currently satisfying the police force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in every March, and I know that your viewership has been told that unfortunately we can't look at the RCMP negotiations until 2032. That's incorrect. Every March, City Council, under the direction of the mayor, can look at RCMP services every March and say, oh, okay, wait, we're putting our hand up. We want to change. We want to see what policing can look like. And we want to start those discussions now. But
Okay.
the RCMP aren't going to go away overnight if council does that. They need to stay with us until we have the proper members based on our population and by a third party independent review.
Okay. So at this point, you wouldn't commit to necessarily having a city-run police force.
Oh, I would. I think we need to have that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it on my own as mayor. I need 10 other people around the table that I think you talked about having different views.
Mm.
10 people around the table that when they knocked on somebody's door during this election, the number one issue was policing, public safety. They walked away. They can no longer sit around that table and say public safety is not a concern for them. They've heard it. They've been elected based on that. So now we need to have that discussion. I'd be all for looking at a municipal force. There's no question about it.
Would you like to see kind of, I don't know, if it would work, a 50-50 split? Say the RCMP handles serious crime and drugs, and then the city force would handle everything else?
So RCMP, that is their mandate, is to handle crime, like major crime and drugs. There's no question about that. That is their mandate. What we need is we need that second level that you're talking about. Yes, okay, that is their responsibility under the federal government agreement. That's what they should be doing. Municipal comes in totally different, takes care of everything else.
Hmm.
I do believe you and your members will remember 2014 when we had the unfortunate incident up in the North End with the RCMP members,
Mm-hmm.
where we lost 3 members, 3 community-led members. As I sit here today, and I'm surprised that you haven't asked me this question, but what about these services and, these specialized services? If we would have had a municipal force back in 2014, you can't tell me that Fredericton, St. John, Halifax wouldn't have sent members. I'll guarantee you they would have sent members. But what the public is, I guess, probably not informed of or not aware of is we still paid extra money to bring those people in to help us. So even with an RCMP force, we still paid an extra, I think the number was $3 million, for additional services.
Right.
So let's figure this out. And you're right. We do need 2 levels. We need one for drugs and major crime. No question about it. but we also need one that's going to satisfy, what's going on within our city now and address those issues.